Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for the Making Progress channel, video number 82, and today's topic is one of me getting really outside of my expert area, which is the whole theme of this channel, by the way. Is it love or just a crush? How you can tell. Yahoo. So what the hell is this all about? Okay, you like someone. Should you get into a relationship with them? Maybe. Should you get engaged? Should you get married? Maybe not right away. Should you have kids? Good questions, but hold on a second. Let's slow down and see what kind of attraction to them you have first, as one of the several building blocks for answering the questions of should you get engaged, married, kids, holy crap, that's a big, big deal. Once we find out what kind of attraction you're experiencing, then we can see what's the next best idea for you to do, as opposed to just being like, I have some feelings, let's get all in and maybe things will work out, or you'll have a lot of regrets and financial liabilities and children of the person you hate later. Not speaking from personal experience, thank God, but a lot of people getting into this sort of thing. Some folks, it may be crazy for you to consider this, but it's in fact true. I guess, let me back up a step. You see enough Hollywood movies on romance and happily ever afters. You're training your world model, which is the model that your neural network in your brain builds of what the world around it looks like and what it's behaving like, so you can make predictions about the world and navigate through it better than not. Your world model is being trained on intentionally biased, misrepresentative data. It turns out that in the real world, happily ever after sometimes happens, but sometimes does not. In the real world, some folks will have kids with people they eventually hate. Maybe not so eventually. And it's often, not always, often, because they mistook a surface level attraction, which got them into the relationship and through marriage and kids, for something deeper. And it's the something deeper that builds amazing families and relationships that last a lifetime. And look, we all get swept up. So let's find ourselves a life raft here really quick with this little brief talk and make sense of what I consider to be roughly 4 levels of attraction. And depending on which one you are, the answer could be stick around to find out what's going on, or nope, I've seen enough, I'm out, or I've seen enough to get to the next level. And when you're at the final level, all sorts of commitments turn not just from a possibility or a good idea, but an obvious thing that you both want to do and should just be doing because it's obvious. It's a very big difference to ask yourself the question of, should I ask this person to marry me? Should I marry this person? Should I ask this person to be my girlfriend or my boyfriend? Should we have kids? Versus those questions in the sort of last kind of attraction that I'll be describing today are all answered in the affirmative with an obviously, of course. That's a big deal. So what I claim to offer you today is the ability to tell apart various kinds of attractions so you know how big of a commitment to make based on the kind of attraction that you have, and not to elude yourself or delude yourself with it, because gee whiz, delusions are the just meat and potatoes of the state of attraction. Rose-colored sunglasses are a real thing, and sometimes the rose hue blots out everything else. But without further ado, the first kind of attraction, and I'm talking about, I'll be speaking from the perspective of male to female, though this forms many other ways. Actually, the female to male stuff goes just as easily. And these are romantic-esque, anywhere from sexual to deep love, romantic-esque feelings. We're not talking about friendship here. We're just talking about things that result in the PIV, the pole in the hole. Number 1, the most surface level kind of attraction you can have is what has been termed casual attraction. It's based purely on physical appearance or immediate impression, like something you can develop within seconds or minutes of talking with someone. Seconds of not even talking with them, just seeing them. With males, it often occurs just with seeing, but can help with talking. With females, sometimes seeing doesn't do the trick, but even a few minutes of talking can get them into casual attraction with somebody. And it's described correctly as a surface level desire, Often fleeting and situational. You're not going to look for this person on social media, but you were out together, your friends introduced you, and the thought in your head is, damn, I'd hit that. What's up? Bitch got it going on. There's no emotional connection. There's no intellectual connection. There could be later, but you sure shit don't know, and you didn't feel any vibes like that. It tends to feel like a quick jolt of interest in females. Sometimes this is felt as kind of admiration, like, whoa, this is a big deal of a person. It feels light, playful, unserious, like enjoying eye candy. Like, I'm trying not to look at this girl too much, but goddamn, she's got 18 separate curves in different parts of her body. Wait, is that so attractive or not? I can't tell. All the way to, like girls, some guys will do this. A lot of girls will vibe with someone, like really, we're just vibing, but nothing more deep than that. There's usually not a deeper yearning to know the person beyond the initial impression. Like you pull them aside, be like, hey man, do you like Stacy? Like, dude, yeah, she's fucking hot. But do you want to really get to know her? You're like, I haven't thought about that. I'm not sure. Not right now. I'm just chilling. Or like, yeah, sure. Why not? And you don't really mean it. Like, man, I'd like to get to know a lot of people. Stacy's hot also, but no kind of hot that I really want to like zone in on her. A lot of hot girls in the world. Stacy's just one of them, but she could get it 100%. That's casual attraction. How to tell the difference between casual attraction and something more serious, more intense. If the thought of that person kind of vanishes quickly once you're no longer interacting and you're distracted, it's probably casual attraction. Like if you were vibing with them at like a party or hangout, and then you're like out on the deck playing ping pong with your friends and she's not out there, and someone's like, dude, what do you think about Stacy? You're like, who the fuck is Stacy? Like that one girl you were talking to, you're like, yesterday? Like, no, earlier today. Like, oh, the girl with the short shorts. Yeah, dude, you get it. Like, that's just casual attraction. Because if they're like, dude, what do you think about Stacy? You're like, dude, is that one girl in there? Like, yeah, like, bro, like, okay, maybe it's something more intense. But if it's kind of like, then no big deal. And another really, really big one, and this is really, really big to differentiate from the deeper layers, there's no real curiosity any more than you get for normal people or just regular people around you about that person's thoughts or feelings or personality. Scott, when I was like writing this out, I actually like had a big crack for you and I both on this one. Like some hot ass girl you're acting with, someone comes up to you, like they just take you away for a second. Like, hey, it's part of a psychological study. Like, okay, like, do you want to get to know her thoughts, feelings, or personality? You're like, am I allowed to laugh at this question? Like, what? I would pay good money not to know any of those things. Does she have a functioning sex organ? Yes or no? So if you're really not curious about who she really is as a person, it's for sure just casual attraction, for sure. And here's how you avoid kind of long-term missteps with casual attraction. You just recognize it's a fleeting instinctual reaction. Hot people are hot, no surprise. And that's not the foundation for commitment. Now, they could eventually turn into something more, but there's no special reason to believe that they will. It doesn't mean you can't talk to them. It doesn't mean you can't really get deep with them. It doesn't mean you can't hook up with them. Hookups are great if both people consent. But it sure shit means this person is not yet on the girlfriend level, and definitely nothing more serious than that. Most people are pretty good at figuring out what's casual attraction and what's not. The next two, especially the third one, really gets a lot of people confused. The next one, properly known in hell as lust. Scott, if you had all the sins you had to, tell God you did bad, is lust a sin that you know what I'm saying? You do that shit?
I mean, that's not a bad sin. Come on, it's a victimless crime.
Straight to hell you go. Lust. Plenty of it in hell, but feels so good. Lust is like attraction on steroids. It is experienced as an intense physical desire for someone, often based on physical or sexual attraction. To most males, that is the identical thing. It can be accompanied by some fantasies or infatuation with their surface level qualities, oftentimes their appearance or maybe how they talk, maybe kind of their vibe. Like some girls kind of badass, and you talk to her for a bit and her body's like a 1,000 out of 10. And she's like, yeah, I ride motorcycles. And you're like, oh my God, she's a motorcycle girl. Like, whoa, like you're so in oh my God, what a baller bitch. And like, it really is just surface level quality, whether or not you ride motorcycles is not a dependable cue or clue if you're a good person or not, or compatible or actually cool. So it's just one of these, like a lot of surface features. Like, if you're a girl and you meet some guy and he's tall and broad shoulder and he's like, yeah, I work on Wall Street, see? And you're like, oh my God, Wall Street. Like there's a lot of guys that work on Wall Street. Not exactly like a personal value that someone is connoting there. And lust can dominate thoughts temporarily for a few minutes, hours, days at a time. And it's often heightened by proximity to interaction. So you might not think about them a lot, but when they show up to the next hangout, you're like, holy crap, why would you wear that anywhere? I have a penis. Consider your friends. Stop doing this to us. That sort of thing. How does it feel? An overwhelming physical, a lot of these are technically phrased, so they're extra hilarious. An overwhelming physical craving, often with a sense of urgency. It's the fist biting emoji, right, Scott? Like, that whole thing. In a nice way, of course. They can exhibit as feelings of excitement and energy. If the person is vibing with you or just neutral. If the desire is unfulfilled and they're not vibing, it can potentially feel like frustration or obsession. Definitely frustration. Obsession tends to be a little bit more into the deeper stuff we're going to talk about in a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely like just I got to have it. Why goddamn it? Why does this person exist? And it can be all consuming in the short term, but often dissipates with time or distance. You don't see that person for an evening or for 2 days. Someone's like, hey, what's her name? You're like, yeah, dude, she is real hot. You're like, what else? You're like, yeah, that's all I got, man. I whacked it a couple times to thoughts of her and that's it. So that's just a thing. How do you tell the difference between lust and something deeper, especially deeper stuff that we want to build relationships on? Now, lust catches people. It gets people in trouble. A lot of people can understand casual attraction is what it is. It's a genuine feeling. You feel it. Everyone feels it. It's great. With lust, sometimes the infatuation with just getting at that body and just doing God's honest work on that fucking body and that face. And why do your teeth look so perfect? God damn it. Has anyone ever just worshiped the living goddamn shit out of you with their hands, with their have you ever had a man's hands on you, bitch, properly in the shower with soap? You know what I'm talking about? Some of that stuff gets so intense that guys get to getting into relationships with that sort of thing. Gee whiz, that's when you might have some problems. So how do you tell the difference between lust and things that just lust is not a foundation for a relationship? It's not. For hookups, the perfect foundation for hookups, really, even better than casual attraction. But for that's my boyfriend, that's my girlfriend, or that even like we're dating, gee whiz, you're going to have to get something better. We'll talk about what that is in a little bit, but lust just doesn't cut it. So how do you tell if it's lust or if it's something deeper that can build a relationship or at least start a foundation for one? Lust focuses heavily on the physical or sexual aspects of attraction without deeper emotional curiosity. Like if you're really just lusting hardcore after someone and someone's like, dude, like what kind of movies do you think she's into? You're like, I don't know, adult movies we're going to film later. Like, dude, seriously. You're like, I don't care. Like, okay, that is not a relationship starter. Here's the thing. When guys are thirsty enough and when girls are thirsty enough, they'll get into like relationships just to hit it. And like, Scott, you ever been in a relationship just to hit it?
Oh my God. Is that a real question?
What is high school and college other than that? Yeah. And I think people get heartbroken in relationships, and it makes you feel cheap towards the end of it because you're like, they're like, what are we? And you're like, you are a 10. And she's like, no, what are we? You're like, I'm a person banging a 10. She's like, okay, seriously, I got nothing. This is all I got. So if there's no emotional curiosity on your part, not relationship material, at least just not yet. Probably not at all. If there's little to no interest on your part in non-physical traits, Scott, you ready to start laughing?
Yes.
Think about someone you've really lusted for before, right? Physical traits like values. Hold up. Goals. Bitch.
Oh, please.
Talking about goals. I got a goal. It's called getting at them titties, girl. What are you talking about? Goals. Get your goals out of my face. I got to see 2 goals right there. You feel me? Or long-term compatibility. that one curls the old cock, doesn't it? Good God. So if you don't have interest in any of those and active revulsion from those, don't get into anything deeper just yet or at all. Hookup culture exists. You know what I'm saying? That's what the apps are for. Swipe, swipe, swipe. You're good. If you end up chatting with them, maybe at length, maybe for a bit, and much of what they say or reveal about their personality registers on one of the following scales, it's another good sign that there's not much anything deeper. You chat with them and you're like, yeah, okay, it's cool. Not for me. You know, like you're a really like precise tech oriented person. And, you know, your typical idea of a great vacation is like a staycation where, you know, like soak in a hot tub. And they're like, I love to travel and just experience the wilderness with my body naked. And I rub mud all over myself. And you're like, you sure are no, there's bugs and there, mud's not going, you know, you're awesome in your own special way. A lot of times they'll talk to you and afterwards, guys like, what was it like? You're like, you just not much to say. Like as a person, they exist. It could be any other person. I wouldn't care. Or as my friend Jen Case likes to say, I'm sure glad you're pretty as the first thing that you think about when someone's talking to you, like bad sign. Scott, there's another one. Dudes that are dating girls that are like ultra hot, but you can tell their pain through their masked emotions in their face when she's next to them talking to other people. They're like, God.
Yeah, they're just feeling it. Yeah.
And that's fucked up because not only is that girl thinking that you like her, you're introducing her to friends. And at the same time, you hate the fact that she's saying anything at all. It's just, can you just be hot and just do that and then unzip when the genitals are around? And for the love of God, like there are people, why am I getting so up about this? There are, millions of people in relationships right now who are like thinking it's something else, but it really is just pure lust and nothing more than that. To avoid long-term missteps in this situation, you should pause and reflect, which is difficult. So good opportunity to do this. Post nut works every time. Post nut clarity. That's why they call it that. Here's a really good question to ask. Would you still value this person if physical intimacy was no longer an option? If it's not, it's just lust. For example, I'll bring myself up. Why the hell not? I've told my wife on many occasions, she could get to 300 pounds, 400 pounds, 500 pounds. As long as it makes her happy, I couldn't give a fuck. Couldn't care. My wife's hot as shit as far as I'm concerned, to me anyway. And I 100% like I'm on that shit 24/7, but it just doesn't matter because what we have just doesn't have the body. Who cares? The face doesn't. If Crystal was an ugly dude, we would still be roommates and I would just have to get my physical needs fulfilled somewhere else. It's that like she's my boy. If you're dating a real hot girl and okay, what if she was like just hideous looking, and you couldn't hit it? What would that be like? You'd be like, there would be no her. Like, okay, well, that's not that deep. Like, you don't even care. Like, I'm just looking for a way out at that point. Like, all right, easy. It just basically says like, okay, do you really like the physical or is it other stuff? If you don't focus on the other stuff, you're like, yes, I like it all. Someone's like, okay, the physical's gone. What do you think? You're like, I have a question. Can I get the physical back? Like, nope, no physical, just emotional. Like, but I don't know what emotions are. Those things we experience when we're flirting with someone to get the physical, right? Like, nope, wrong. Like, oh, fuck. So that's not it. Number 3, this one's the real killer, folks. Really, really pay attention to this one. This is the killer. Scott, any guesses on what this one is called?
Tell me.
Le crush. Scott doesn't have any real emotions because he's a psychopath just miming them. So he doesn't know what a crush is, but don't worry, I'll tell you. A crush is a very, very, very intense emotional experience. It is summarized as middle school. Is that when people get crushes, Scott? That's a first crush, right?
I know middle school for sure.
Middle school.
Yeah.
When like fucking 8-year-olds tell you like, I have a crush on a boy at school, you're like, shut up. No, you don't.
The elementary school shit I don't think is really real.
Doesn't count.
Middle school gets real.
You're pretending. Middle school gets too real where you're like, what's wrong with my brain? That level. That's a crush. A crush, technical stuff, is a blend of physical attraction and some emotional or intellectual curiosity, usually emotional. It is often Idealized? Always idealized? With more attention paid to how the person looks or how they make you feel than who they really are. They're kind of like a symbol for the feeling you have inside of yourself. And this is a really big one. Crushes are usually formed on very limited interactions or knowledge about the person. You don't really know them, but the way they look and the way they talk to you and the sound of their voice and the mention of other people talking about them gives you some distinct feelings, which I'll talk about in a second. And this crush thing is, when I was talking to ChatGPT about this, ChatGPT was like, there's crush and then there's infatuation. And upon further review, I'm like, it's really the same thing. It's just a little bit of a spectrum there, but crush and infatuation are very, very, very similar. They're just kind of different degrees of the same thing. So I'm lumping them in together. How does it feel? Butterflies, big one. Nervousness, excitement at just the thought of them, never mind the seeing them, which can fill you with excitement / terror, sometimes both at the same time. Like I said, middle school. The thing feels thrilling, but really fragile. Reality or kind of a deeper knowledge of the person may quickly diminish the feeling. I've gone through like a few major crushes / infatuations in my life. And every single time I had an opportunity to learn a lot more about that person, I was like, oh, cool. You're cool. Yep. That feeling's gone. Because it was just a crush and just infatuation, taking nothing away from that person. That's just a real personal thing. Other people may find them just completely endearing for the long term. It wasn't me. But preview, that's a good test to see if you're crushing or if you really have something deeper. Which is to say, as you get to know them better, how do the feelings evolve? A lot of times crushing is accompanied by daydreaming from the positive perspective. From the negative perspective, overanalyzing interactions, especially if you don't know if they like you yet. Like, what did they mean by go to hell, never come up to my car at night? Like maybe they meant do it more. Yeah. And even ChatGPT knew this one, even though it's never experienced this itself, which is super dope. Crushes and infatuation episodes can feel blindingly powerful, and usually do. It's a really intense thing, really, really intense thing. It like a lot of times blends into kind of overestimating the person's positive qualities while ignoring their flaws. I've done a whole lot of that. You might not even be aware they have flaws. You may not be interested in people telling you they have flaws. And when people tell you they have flaws, you find the flaws kind of oddly humanizing and endearing versus like, dude, that's actually not good. Rose-colored sunglasses are a big deal. You guys catch this from like maybe other friends you've had? Maybe you've had girlfriends who are like really into like a toxic guy, but they're crushing really hard. And you're like, Amanda, he is a scumbag. Here is all of the evidence you ever need to know. And they're like, yeah, I guess he's just kind of rebellious, huh? Like, no, God damn it. No, even the flaws are good. There can also be a strong desire, this is a huge understatement, to win their approval or affection. I mean, you can fantasize for long hours of the day about a scenario with which they realize you're amazing and they start to like you. Huge deal. And the feeling situation, I mean, there's all kinds of other stuff to say about this sort of thing. So, for example, the highs with maybe interacting with them, maybe talking to them for the first time or two, can feel just like euphoric, like, kill me now. This is paradise. Like, I used to think about this one girl I liked back in the day. Like, if we ever had a chance to embrace and look in each other's eyes and I knew that she accepted me for who I was, I'd be like, I literally thought like, this is the peak emotion a human could ever experience. There's no way you can have better than this, which is totally irrational because my sampling of emotions at the time was like back in 3 of them or some shit. It was like a young ass little bitch. And so how could I have known that? It was that powerful. Another thing is, if they don't vibe with you, maybe just in your own head, maybe outwardly, depending on how ugly things get, you can be easily rejected and feel very hurt. Any kind of conflict, any inkling they tell you that they're kind of not vibing, or that, like you've been hanging out with them for a couple of times and then they're like, hey, I'm really busy this weekend. Can I catch you next weekend? And you're like, yeah, sure, of course. Click the phone. You're like, bam, 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 break the phone, eat the phone, throw up the phone, try to put it back together, but there's gross vomit all over it. That every Tuesday you do that sort of thing at home. So, and then another one, of course, is kind of obsessive thinking, frequent daydreams or fantasies about being with them, about just them for no other reason at all, wondering about particulars about them. Like, I wonder how they do this. I wonder how they are like that. And it says here, often to the point of distraction. A big enough crush, like, kind of low key ruins your life for a little while. So, when it's good, it's unreal. And when it's not good, it's just really, really, really annoying. And how do you tell the difference between a crush / infatuation from deeper things that you can really, a crush might be enough to start a relationship for sure, but how do you tell this relationship might actually last a little bit? And here's a few ways of how to tell. A crush is typically more about your imagination of them than their actual personality. Remember, you need almost nothing to have a crush. Scott, what's the least interaction you've ever had with someone and still crushed on them?
Like, she walked by.
Legit. There was like a girl in my 10th grade class, like 10th grade economics, of which I got more than 100%. And I was a great student. The very, like, when she, like, okay, so I take it back. She was in my English class and economics at the same time. And in English class, I saw her once and I was like, and it just, as I did back then, just shut the fuck up and pretend not to notice. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Never spoke to her. And then I think she sat like next to me or behind me in economics class. And Scott, I did my best to pretend that she just didn't exist. I think I spoke to her, not out of turn, of course. She spoke to me like twice and I like mumbled something back. That was the only interaction I've ever had with this person.
Wow.
Legit. But I felt crazy, psychotic feelings. Oh my God. Definitely a crush. And, like, if I would have known this back then and someone's like, I don't think I would have said I'm in love with her or anything back then, but like, I didn't categorize my emotional experiences on nomenclature I also didn't know. But, it says here, a crush is typically more about your imagination of them, their actual personality. I mean, I didn't know her personality at all. He just kind of looked kind of bubbly. I don't know. Am I even into bubbly? I have no idea. It wasn't about the personality at all. It was just appearance and vibes, like body, smile. That's it. Those two things. That's it. And I mean, these are intense, incredibly sweeping feelings. I was having fantasies about her being my girlfriend and stuff. Like, you don't know if this is a girlfriend person. Never mind that I was not ready to be a boyfriend, but like, holy shit, that's just, your brain's like that person. You want the rest of your life spent with them. And you're like, but do I? And when you ask the question of, do I really know them? And the answer is no, you don't know them at all. Well, gee whiz, you can't build a relationship on not knowing someone. That's crazy. Another test is if your feelings fade after discovering flaws or incompatibilities, it was likely just a crush. I had another girl in my high school times who had really like probably more of an infatuation than a crush. It was like the next level, super like lasted for years, up and down for years. Not that she know about it because, what I'm saying, your boy did nothing about it. Thank God. But she was great. I was not ready for any of that shit. And after I got to know her a little better, she just like remained a really cool, awesome person, but it didn't like zig me up because my thoughts of her were like, mostly based on body, smile, eyes, maybe. I don't even know. That's kind of it. And like, man, that's not something to build a relationship on. Why am I beating the dead horse here? Because a lot of people have children with each other off of crushes. Scott, no one from your hometown, of course.
I mean, depends on how small my hometown circle gets.
No one we know in real life has extended relationships based only on crushes.
Hey.
No one at all. It's really, really easy to fall in to be like, this is a lot. But if you'd ask yourself these questions, after learning more deep things about them, am I more in or less in or neutral? or do I actually know who this person is whatsoever? Very important things to talk about. So the avoiding the missteps here is don't commit based on the fantasy of who someone is. A fantasy is from your own brain. It's almost nothing to do with the real world. Take time to get to know their deeper qualities before making decisions like, is this a girlfriend or a boyfriend? For sure, are we like long-term dating? For sure, are we going to get engaged, marriage, kids? Holy crap, not even close. Here's the real crazy shit though. Crushes and infatuation episodes can actually last for weeks, months, and sometimes, no joke, years. I mean, nothing more the whole time than mostly just the emotions of not knowing who that person is. So don't think just because it's around for a few days, few weeks, few months, you're like, I felt like this about Stacy this whole time. It's been a year and a half. I've got the ring ready. Hold on. Is there anything more than just having rose-colored sunglasses? And if you're telling your friends about how great she is and your friends are like, okay, are you sure? Maybe you want to listen to them a little bit because they're like, dude, it's obvious to everyone you guys are just not compatible at all. You're really not. You're like, oh, but she fills me with, but my heart, like, hold on a sec. And here's the problem with the heart stuff. If you have a lot of feelings towards somebody, feelings are like an on-off switch or a dimmer switch. If you're compatible for deep, actual compatibility reasons, like you get along really well, that person's your homie, you laugh a lot, you have similar life goals, don't worry, I'll get to all that in a bit with the next layer/level, then even if the dimmer switch goes to zero and you don't really feel anything for them, there's still a person you get along with great, your homie, someone you can laugh with, someone you can build an awesome life with, you can raise children with a person like that. That's still dope and still carries the most meaningful relationships all the way to the end of the line. But don't rely on that dimmer switch being up at the expense of not even caring about what's up, like that Romeo and Juliet shit, like, I'm willing to die for Romeo. Motherfucker, is you serious? Take this vial of poison and throw it in your face, girl. Out of here, you feel me? Capulets and Scott, what was that other one in the Romeo and Juliet? Leonardo DiCaprio with a gun. That's all I remember. The Capulets and the Montagues or some shit. Yo, that was legit like a traumatizing experience when I was forced to watch Romeo and Juliet like probably 3 times in middle school.
The Leo one?
So the original 1970s one where that girl turned out to be like 15, which was ridiculous. That one I had to see in like school once and then with my parents once. And I was like legit ready to just end it all because I cannot stand that shit. Love movies are great. Romeo and Juliet is just like the whole S word we're not allowed to say on YouTube where they take each other's lives. It's just like, I don't find this compelling. You know what I'm saying? It's a disaster. I hate it. Also the gangs were just like not tough. And then none other than Sonia, my sister, made me watch the 1990s real slick with Leo DiCaprio and Claire Danes, right?
Claire Danes, you're correct.
Man, they made love seem so cool. All I wanted, Scott, here's who I really am. The thing I remember most about that movie was the inclusion of modern sidearm weaponry.
Yes, that, and then compared with like the old dialect they
yes,
used. That was
yes.
So weird.
I'm like, what you talking about Shakespeare? You got a 9mm hollow points. Who are you gonna go out there and do some gang war? You must be crazy. All right, last one. What is called a mature romantic connection and can eventually transform into very related. So I'm just same concept. Deep love. What the hell is all that about? So a mature romantic connection that eventually transforms into deep love has a clear emotional and intellectual bond. Notice, first time. Emotional, okay. Intellectual, definitely first time. And the term here is bond, not just experience. Remember, if you're infatuated with someone, they don't need to be infatuated back for you to feel the same way. But a romantic connection that's mature has both people contributing. There are strong feelings of affection paired with genuine interest in their thoughts, values, and character. Some of that can come from infatuation and a crush, but typically as you get more and more of it, you get even more intimately associated with them and not less. That's a big deal. Here's another one that really hits different. Respect and trust. Both parties feel safe sharing vulnerabilities and relying on each other for emotional support. When you rely on each other for emotional support and you get vulnerable with each other, man, that deepens the connection like nothing does. That is very different than just a crush or infatuation. That's next level stuff. Another thing is the relationship gets into a state, and this is closer to deep love, where it's balanced and grounded. It starts feeling stable and reciprocal. You're not just crushing on them or they're just on you. It's both. And there's not as many of the extreme highs and lows of infatuation, though some highs and lows can occur. It feels kind of more warm and fulfilling. The excitement, some folks have said, kind of transitions into a steady sense of happiness and comfort. You know, the like Friday night. I guess everyone's Friday night's probably more fun. I don't know. It's just sharing personal shit. Like I got my wife Crystal on the couch. We got Gwenny, our dog, on the couch. We're watching like YouTube or some kind of Netflix documentary. It's 8 p.m. on a Friday. We're completely toasted from a week of work. And I'm just like massaging her feet or something like that. I just look at my girls and I'm like, this is it, man. I don't want to be anywhere else. Like that kind of shit. It's not like Crystal walks into the room and I'm like, and like Antonio Banderas Spanish music starts playing, which I assume is how Jared Feather IFB Pros hookups all go. Scott's laughing. We've done too much already. The crush stuff. Okay, I'm done. I swear. Jared, if you're never watching this, which you probably never are, you're the fucking man. Deeper understanding. What the hell is understanding? I'm just trying to have some feelings about it. Now you guys see how this is different than casual attraction, for sure, lust, and definitely infatuation and a crush. Deeper understanding means you appreciate the person for who they are. They have flaws, and the flaws don't like enhance them somehow. Like when you're infatuated and they have a flaw, you're like, it's perfect. Like, no, it's not. You know they have flaws, but you vibe with it because at the end of the day, they're your person and it's all good, man. You're not trying to change them into something, but also you can work together on both changing into a better version, an understanding, a teamwork dynamic. You're really on the same team, and that's a really, really big deal. And there's a mutual effort. Both parties invest in maintaining and growing the connection. Huge deal. Now, here's how to tell the difference between this and everything less than, including infatuation, a crush, lust, and all the way back into casual attraction. One is a compatibility check. You want to see or have seen, when you get to this level, how this person handles conflicts, stress, and everyday life, and you still value the relationship. Notice, you cannot say that you have a romantic connection with someone, and you should not use the term love. I mean that. You can use whatever terms you like. I'm not prescriptive. Fuck it, love. I love everyone. But you guys know what I'm saying, the L word, the big one, when you're in the bedroom together after the act and you look at each other's eyes and the pupils are all dilated and you're like, hi. And she's like, You're like, I need a sandwich. I'm really hungry. Just kidding. I love you, girl. Ha ha, your boy's just fucking with you. That does not go well. Don't try that joke. It falls on deaf ears. You can't say you love someone until you've been with them for a while to see how life actually works. Like people who do shotgun marriages, God bless you. People who get together with folks and go for the long haul, kids, marriage, without having lived together for at least a little while, having seen some shit together, having some arguments together, man, that ain't it. Because life stressors are what's going to put tension on the relationship. If the life stressors are neutral or make you stronger, and you got something special. If the life stressors are like, yeah, as soon as I have one, I'm fucking out of here, then you went in way too fast. Another one is you start to build or at least fantasize about a shared future, not just surface level fantasy. You begin to imagine a life together based on shared goals, values, and mutual respect, and you actually have those things. You do have shared goals and shared values and mutual respect. If you're just crushing on a girl and someone's like, yes, hello, I have a question. What are her values and what are yours and how do they juxtapose? You're like, what? She's beautiful and she's a princess. She doesn't need values. You're like, oh, okay, that shit is going to fade. And then you got someone you either really like or really don't. And that matters a ton. It's crucial that you go through this kind of mature romantic connection and get a deep love. And it's just a matter of kind of trial and error. You have to try it. It's crucial to try it, which means if you're really vibing with a person and things are going really well and you're like, should I propose or should we get married or should we have kids? Obviously, there are timelines on those things. Like, you don't want to be dating someone for 3 years and like they really want you to propose and you just can't get the hint. You're never done it because you're just not whatever. You're that like dense. Sure. But if you have plenty of room, both of you know you have plenty of room. Don't just go doing stupid things that are government contracts, irreversible, or God forbid. Children are possibly the most beautiful thing that can happen to you as a human in your adult years. But children who entering a home in which the parents hate each other are still beautiful and still wanted, if you get my drift. But gee whiz, you can bring up kids in a lot of different ways. Don't do yourself dirty, that person dirty, and the kids dirty by doing anything other than not a rush job is what I'm trying to say. So if it's been a month and things are going really well, give it another few months. If it's been a few years, oh, look, shit or get off the pot. I totally hear you. But it's the testing. It's the testing ground for compatibility and that history you build together and learning each other and figuring out, are you drifting together or are you drifting apart? Are you getting better at handling arguments or worse? Depending on how that goes, man, that's a big deal. The reason people date before they marry, number one reason is a test of compatibility. You already attracted that person. They have all the right sex parts. They're generally in the same whatever life trajectory, social class. You could theoretically have children with them and you'll do fine. You don't want to do fine. You want to do great. And the only way to go from like a crush all the way through actual marriage is to figure out how the shit works in the real world. And in order to make it work, you can't make it work. In order to allow it to work, if there's something there, you need a couple of things to be there. Open communication. So you want to be able to share thoughts, feelings, and goals openly and honestly, both ways. You want to have shared experiences. You build trust and connection through meaningful activities and challenges. You make her lunch because she has to go to work, or, you take care of your friend's kids and she said she would take care of them, but she had a business meeting, go late. Now you're hanging out with 2 4-year-olds and you're like, what words do I know that won't offend these children or their parents hearing about this? Stuff like that. Good experiences, bad experiences, boring experiences, fun experiences, all to figure out like, how do we meld? Because if you have enough experiences and everything is going great, it's great. But if after a few months you're like, yeah, there's some stuff here that I'm not interested for long term, hey, no problem. You write a breakup letter in lipstick and blood. You like slip it underneath their door. You cancel all the subscriptions together. Scott, number one rule of a breakup, sign out of your Netflix account at their house beforehand, right?
That's true. That's good.
They're going to buy all kinds of specials and shit.
Advice.
Bitch, what's the $60 on my Netflix bill? You must be crazy.
Upgrading to 4K.
What the?
Man, come on.
I'll give you 4K. You feel me? Girl, step out of here. Nuts. Another one is emotional availability. This one to me seems kind of obvious, but if you're present, if you're supportive, if you're willing to grow alongside them, those are all really good things. Giving yourself that freedom really allows you to explore things. Here's the real thing. Here's why I'm saying this. If you are emotionally restrained, and I've definitely had this problem in the past for myself, a lot of guys do, and then you get into a long-term relationship, when you actually finally reveal some of your emotions, your partner could be like, whoa, what? You feel like this? Holy shit. And it would be better if you were emotionally open with him earlier. Does it hurt more when you break up? Potentially, yes. Does it make sure that everyone can see clearly who the other person is and you don't get into like marriage or kids and then divorce and, like coming in on weekends and taking the kids out to Chuck E. Cheese type of life? Nothing wrong with that life. It's just some shit you might not have signed up for type of shit. Yeah, it's a big deal. So making sure to really give it the old college try is awesome. You guys ever see people that are together, even in college, you're both 21, where is this going? And they're like fully intertwined. No marriage, no ring, no talk of, there's no children in the works, but they're really going road trips together. They spend a ton of time with each other. They go through hard times, easy times. They're very emotionally open. And dude, you talk to your girlfriend about what? Holy crap. I don't tell anyone that. I don't tell you guys that. We're best friends. It's good that they're doing that because then they really get a clear perspective on both ends, hers and his, of what the hell is actually going on here. That's such a big deal versus like playing your cards close to the vest and realizing you're like, nah, I've got a marriage card deck, see? And you're like, okay, you win. You convince them to marry you, but it turns out like you guys are no good for each other. And now the divorce lawyers get involved. And that's all a different thing. Nothing wrong with divorce, by the way. It just has to happen sometimes. But if you can, and look, here's the thing. You go through a beautiful time with some person, and then it ends in divorce. That's just life sometimes. But if you went through that beautiful time and you did your due diligence discovering who they were really, and then eventually shit goes south and, you just find yourself kind of moving apart, it's just, that's it. But if you rushed something or kind of weren't intimate enough to figure out who the person was or never asked, then you go through a divorce, the only thought you're going to have is going to be like, damn it, like next time I go through this, if ever again, I'm really going to try to get to know this person. 100%. Eventually you get into deep love if all the stuff works out. And deep love is characterized, sure, by romantic stuff, but it doesn't even require the romantic stuff, to be completely honest. Shared values, a connection emotionally, deep friendship. You're caring for that other person as much as or more than you care for yourself. Includes mutual respect. Like if you don't have respect of that human, like I really respect you as a human, you probably should not be in a long-term relationship. Trust, the ability to navigate conflict constructively. Like, okay, we're in a conflict. We clearly disagree. Let's calm down. Remember that we love each other. We're on the same team. Let's work this out like humans. If you can do that, man, you're well on your way. You feel safe with this person. You feel understood. That's a big deal. That does not happen in crushes. Well, actually, you could feel understood if you're infatuated with someone, but remember, you have no data to support that they understand you because you've never talked to them before. Scott, you ever hear that from people like rom-coms? Like, I feel like he knows me. Like, he doesn't know your name. He can't possibly know you. What the hell are you doing? And the thing is, like, it's funny to make jokes, but when your friends crush on someone, Scott, what would you say? It's almost impossible to talk sense into them?
I would say almost, yeah.
Almost. Have you ever like not even bothered, or are you the kind of guy that say your piece and then be like, whatever you want to do after this is cool?
I never say my piece.
You don't say it. What a great friend. Do you never say your piece because it's just is not your vibe, or because you've been burned before saying your piece to friends and then being the best man at their wedding later?
It's just not worth it. They got to discover it on their own. That's the path they need to traverse alone.
Damn.
I wish you well.
Good day, sir. Yeah, facts, man. That's real. Your focus is on their happiness, not just on your own. That's a big deal. Like currently in my life, like being productive and making lots of money is a big focus of mine. But when I think about like, well, what if I didn't have like Crystal? Honestly, I didn't even know what the hell money's for. For me, money's like I bring home to Crystal and go, look, baby, look how great we're doing. If baby's not around, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't drink Cristal. I don't fly private. What the fuck's all this shit for? Money's cool and all, but when you're really a team, it's a huge, huge difference. You end up admiring their character, their values, definitely not just how they make you feel or their looks. You can see a future with them. And actually, let me put it another way. Deep love is when a future without them makes you think, best case, I can do it. I might even have a great time, but I'll never, ever not think of them regularly ever again. Then you got something. Because crushes and stuff, later on, you're like, yeah, it was middle school, but it's not like you think about that person every day or something like that. One really interesting sign, which often happens with sort of highly monogamous people, is the next person in the hierarchy beneath them doesn't compare with them. There's like your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. And if you have deep love, it's not like, oh, that girl's also cute, and maybe like if we don't work out, I'll be on that shit. No. There's in your mind as a feeling, there's no one even contending for the title. There's just that person and them, and everyone else is just a human. Now they might look hot. You might want to hook up with other people. It's natural biology. But as far as like, hey, like, what do you think about that girl being your wife? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I already got a wife. Like, I don't mean like a second wife. I mean, like instead of your wife, like there is no instead of my wife. There's just my wife. Like her occupation is her, just her. I'm there for her. Period. I don't care what you call her, wife, girlfriend. Ludacris said your main bitch is just one person. That's all I'm worried about. At the end of the day, there's them, there's everybody else. It was just hierarchical like that. Like, yeah, that's dope. Now you can get that sort of thing off of infatuation, but when you have trust, connection, deep understanding, and history together, and they're still number one in a way that there is no number two, yeah, shit, man. Like, that's a really big deal. So this is going to take time to cultivate, and you can't cultivate it on purpose, but you can allow yourself to be open. just openly communicating, talking, exposing your fears, your loves, your desires, your needs, hearing all of their stuff, tending to them, caring for them when they're sick. They do the same for you. After a while, you're just a team of two, and that you need nothing else after that. Nothing else other than a lot of adult content, because biology still exists. But for actual deep connection, you ain't trying to have it with anyone else. That's the thing. So, general advice, wrapping all of this up to avoid missteps. Number one, take your time. Huge deal. Best advice I could ever give you guys, maybe in this whole channel, other than artificial superintelligence is the future. That's not really advice. That's just a statement of a proposed hypothesis. Don't rush into long-term commitments. Feelings evolve as you learn more about a person. How do I say this best? Hollywood is like a giant machine that feeds you exclusive propaganda about how you should be rushing into long-term commitments. Why? Because someone who rushes into long-term commitment is demonstrating with their actions unreal amounts of attraction. And that makes us feel a certain way. It's just evolutionary biology and evolutionary psychology. But what Hollywood does and what you should do in your regular life, remember, Hollywood also thrives on extremely unlikely things. Yeah, the one kid that was in a wheelchair and eventually became the world's fastest 100-meter sprinter. Like, wow, cool. Does that mean I should get into a wheelchair? Will that make me faster? No, it's backwards. It's backwards. The reason that kid is so inspirational is because he's unusual. And the reason we find a lot of, crazy love stories that, 2 weeks later, they're like, we should be together forever. Like, yeah, the reason we find that inspirational is because it's a flex. It's a flex of like, wow, they must have something really deep. But a lot of times in reality, they don't. It just feels really deep and it doesn't last. Deep love takes time to reveal itself. It's not an instant spark. I'm going to kill something for you guys you might have had an attachment to. Get ready. This is childhood's end. Love at first sight is bullshit. We have a term for that. It's called a crush. That's what that means. Folks, words have meanings. Love at first sight is not love. It's a crush. For the love of God, please, can we stop saying love at first sight? I'm just getting persnickety. Scott, you know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
It's just so like, oh, I love her. Like, no, you don't. You can't. You don't even know who she is. Another one. Be honest with yourself. This one is so big. On infatuation plus parental, career, and social reinforcement, you two are from the same social circles. You're so great together, according to everyone else. You're friends with all your friends. You're living in the same city, similar career, similar interests, and you just never admit to yourself that you just don't really love that person at any deep level or care about them that much. People get married and have kids on that shit, you guys. You got to be honest with yourself. If you reflect on what you admire about someone, is it their looks? Or do you genuinely value who they are? Why are you in the relationship? Is it just a momentum and expectations? Is it really you like, if the world was blank slated, would you reach out to them and be like, hey, let's do this again? That's a really, really good question. Got to be honest with yourself. Because remember, if you're not honest with yourself, you can give them a few good years just by being really kind to them. And you're going to have to see yourself out or live the rest of your life miserable with a person you don't even like that much. And a lot of times it's like, you work out fine, but you might have these visions of like, when you were a kid, you really wondered what it was like to have true romantic attraction and deep love. And the person you ended up being with is a cool person and all, and you have a great family and a great life, but you never got that real solid shit. Do you want to live out your 50s and 60s like that? I don't know. I think the answer is probably no. So being honest with yourself and taking time is a huge thing. Another one, big one, is observe conflict in hard times. True compatibility means conflict can suck, but you end up being better for it after. And every time you have at least the similar magnitude of conflict, you're better and better and better. Sometimes you can tell couples are circling the drain when each level of conflict, even though it's the same, it just accumulates and it's worse and worse and worse. I can't believe you're still not moving your shoes to where I wanted. That kind of stuff you do not want to be in. Trust me, is not what you want to do. Another one, I guess these are all super, super big. Is don't confuse chemistry with compatibility. Intense attraction can cloud judgment. And I take that back. Intense attraction almost always clouds judgment. But long-term happiness depends on shared values, mutual respect, and a few other deeper qualities. So if you have great chemistry, if you just vibe with that person, that is not a reason to have children or become married to someone. For the love of God. I was going to use the other F word, but YouTube says that's not nice. Huge. The last thing I have to say, and I'll just do the Waking Up app promo now. Waking Up app, it's great. Lets you meditate, get all calm. You might need one of these meditation sessions if you have a crush on a girl and you're not sure whether or not to propose to her. Because for the love of God, you need a lot more mindfulness meditation to figure that out. wakingup.com/Dr. Mike. Link in the description. Here's the last thing. And this is, I think, the biggest. Prioritize friendship. A romantic partner should also be your best friend, at least one of them. If you can't see yourself being with them and enjoying non-romantic activities together, most activities are not romantic, by the way, in real life, it's probably not deep love. And you should give at least some more time for that to maybe sort of open up. Or if it doesn't and it regresses, then it's time to, candidly, politely pull a plug and let them find the person that they're best compatible with, because it sure as shit ain't you. Friendship is way more powerful than romantic love. Orders of magnitude more powerful. If you have someone in your life who you have deep romantic love for and then deep love for, and you're also friends, you got it made. You need nothing else. If you have someone you're romantically very infatuated with and attracted to, but you don't make great friends, you just hope you don't fall out of love. And predictably, after about, depending on how you slice it, 1 to 9 years after you get with them, you might have a change of heart. And then, like, literally a change of heart in the sense of, like, you just don't feel the same emotion. And if you find yourself not feeling the same emotions, that young, like, basically infatuation type and lust and everything, but you're deep, close friends with them, dude, amazing. World's greatest roommate. Amazing. World's greatest life partner. Who else would you want to be with? Unless you're just a person that likes to be alone, then fine. But like, if you want to be with anyone, it's going to be your best friend. It's just like a permanent sleepover that never ends. It's dope. But if you're not friends with that person, it doesn't matter how many Romeo and Juliet experiences you've had. Sooner or later, you're going to realize you're going to turn over in bed and be like, why the fuck am I here? You don't ever want to say that. And if you do, just start running and never look back. That ended on a nasty note. Folks, go out there, have casual attractions, enjoy lust, use protection, get infatuated, make sure to typically depositing a cup of your blood, hair, and semen mixed together in their front porch really communicates what you want them to understand. I want you to have a part of me, literally. It's a joke. Don't do that. Get out there and fall in love and let it mature. Get some deep love. Find the right person for you. You don't always win at this game. Sometimes you have to try it a few times. And there's good stuff out there. Don't rush in. See you next time.